Hello everybody, my name is Elsa and I'm here to welcome you to this short series about citizen science. Today with me there is Maja from Slovenia and we are going to talk about systems thinking. Thank you Maja for being here. Can you tell us a bit more about you?
Hello Elsa, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to meet you and to chat with you.
Also for me.
I will say also Bondiudin.
Great Italian. Furlano, even better.
Furlano. Yeah, I'm sorry that we have to speak in English with such a richness of languages we have in Europe, but yeah, let's use it as a vehicle language. As you already said, my name is Maja. I come from Slovenia. I live actually in Italy on the border with Slovenia in our bioregion, Goriška, Gorica, Nova Gorica.
Exactly.
The city. So let's start maybe with not with directly with what I do, but maybe with my dreams. Why? Because there is a movie I really like. It's called Arizona Dreams with Johnny Depp in main role from Emil Kusturica. And there is an opening scene which is hilarious. Mm-hmm. He talks about his life, his mother, father, fishes, a lot of fishes. And there is some point that he said that his father once said to him that if you want to look at someone's soul, you have to look at their dreams. So maybe this would be the best way to present myself.
I agree.
Like from the future, my dreams. Like some month ago, I did agriculture training to obtain the farmer status.
Great.
To start farming, at least part of my time at the beginning. And why I'm telling you this, why is this important for me? It's because I feel that if I want to teach and talk about sustainability, about the regeneration, I think that the ultimate and the most how to say important decision is to produce your own food. Mm-hmm. Because I think that if you want to be resilient, sustainable, fair, and have a just world, we have to change the way how we eat, and we have to change the food system. I think that then a lot of things will change. So let's coming back from the future to the present. The last years, I'm dedicating my time especially to the eco-social education, climate education. I'm working mostly with primary and secondary school teachers, but also in adult education in general.
Okay.
Sometimes also with students, mm-hmm. Secondary, also primary school sometimes. And I'm also learning designer, always related to the climate change and sustainability. And just to add something also quite important, but it's more something that I'm proud of it. Yeah. It's been a second year now that I'm also European Climate Pact Ambassador.
Great.
For Italy and for Slovenia.
I'm so happy to hear that.
First for Slovenia, then for Italy, but yeah.
For both of them.
For both of them.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that.
Thanks.
So can I also ask you, at this point that you were with us during the training in diving training, what is citizen science for you?
So, to be honest, I've heard about citizen science, but I never paid attention or did the research on what it is. I was just trying to imagine. I was imagining what it is. When I truly come across this citizen science is, and for me it was super interesting, also the concept and then how the training was, it was actually because of the dive-in training. You did here in Udine, in Vidam, last year. So, like, yeah, I was always imagining. I'm saying not knowing, but imagining.
Yeah.
Actually, then it's true. That citizen science is like the process, or let's say the approach when citizens, like normal citizens that are not like professionally scientists, helping science and scientists in their research, in their work. Especially when it comes to gather data and like several inputs. But then, yeah, also how like the point of view, like the other part of actually doing science as a citizen, like having your, I don't know, kitchen laboratory.
Yeah.
That part, it's even more interesting, the part that was presented to us at the training.
I'm really happy about it. So at this point, do you remember also, maybe it was really at the training at this point, who knows, the specific moment you get passionate about science?
I don't think I have this like a particular moment.
Yeah.
But it's more like thinking about what science, what fascinates me about the science, is thinking about the science like this, like the biggest way of, I mean, the ultimate way of what it was, the expression. I write it down, but then I forget it. It was
the ultimate expression of understanding
of
things.
The ultimate. It was the ultimate expression of love for curiosity.
Yes.
And understanding how life and things work.
It's true. Great. Maybe you can also tell us more about the project you carried out to involve people in the approach of science.
So, as we discussed before, I was telling you like that I don't like what in my learning design and with the courses I do mostly. They're intentionally also with systems thinking. They're intentionally, let's say, not empty of content, but you always define with a group of people, like I will explain this later, I don't know, problem, the challenge, and so on. But there is one not exercise, it's actually like a game.
Yeah, an activity.
That's activity that I use to spread awareness about the climate change and the consequences of climate change. It's globally known. It's called Climate Fresk.
Okay.
And it's based on one of the biggest research about climate change. Okay. It's IPCC.
Of course.
And I also consider it as, let's say, systems thinking tools, because we actually do connect like elements, like the parts of why is there like system, why is there climate change. So yeah, definitely I would, if you ask me about like what I'm doing in this field, like for the science, it's climate, it would be Climate Fresk. Maybe there are some others, but at the moment I think this is the most important one.
Great. Okay. And what do you think can be the future for citizen science, also, but with citizen science?
So this it's quite difficult question, since I'm not like so much involved in the citizen science. But if we talk about the science in general, I think that for the future, but also for the present, we should consider more the ethics, how not to abuse the science for manipulate and exploit nature and people.
Of course.
I mean, we are also part of the nature, but just to make it clear. And also related to the citizen science, this would be, and But on the other hand, like if you ask me about the citizen science and the future of citizen science, I wish that more people would have the opportunity to learn about the science like we did at the training, because I think it can make like everyone's lives better. Like in my case, for example, there were like some things that I wasn't aware before. It's very particular, but I will tell it.
Yeah, please.
It's about the silicon. It is also in English, the silicon.
I hope so, yeah.
You know, there is always, if you have the silicon like pavement in the bathroom, and sometimes you will find a mold.
Yeah.
And Gino explained very well why there is a mold, because the mold loves like acid, and we have these silicons with some vinegar. You can actually smell it.
Yes.
And it's super important to use the other one that it doesn't have vinegar.
It's a great explanation, and it's useful.
It is for somebody like maybe it's not that important, but for me, yeah, I think that like because mold it can be actually toxic.
Of course, and it's important to understand the why behind the things that happened, right? So it was a big start. Gino told us a lot of things. He was our guest, and it was it's always interesting to chat with him. So I totally agree.
So these are the things that I remember. You know,
we told you. The bread things, the pavement things.
Like you have a light, and it was like a bang.
Yeah.
Oh,
now I know. Now I know. It was so easy, but I didn't understand it before. I didn't know that. I think it's a big start to talk about the things that happened around us in our daily routine and focus on how they work, why did they work in that way, and it's a big start to approach a scientific approach, let's say. Exactly. In fact, my next question will be that it's not easy at all, not easy to speak properly in some just phrases or sentences, but can you try to explain to us shortly what is system thinking?
So systems thinking, I consider it also because I come from humanistic parts of the, I'm not like from nature science, and I consider it more like a philosophical approach, that it has also its own tools if we want to, and it's like you will also hear the expression they call it also whole systems thinking, because actually it's about thinking about everything, thinking like when we have a problem or let's say a challenge, it sounds better. To try to understand why there is a challenge, to try to see how the components of the system are interrelated. What are the relations in between different elements or components of the system, and try to understand like this problem not like one isolated thing, but as a part of the system. And for me, for example, systems thinking, it's about questioning, it's about deep thinking. It's also, especially when I read, I consider her mother of systems thinking, Donella Meadows. When I read something that she wrote, for me it's like very soothing in a way that, because sometimes we want that things would change, like in this instance, like quickly, but when you are reading about like how the system works, you can understand why we cannot change things in one instance, and like understanding this dynamics of the system, it can be actually for me personally very soothing to say, okay, we did this, nothing like it did something happen, because in one instance we cannot change the system, we can change the evolution of the system,
of course.
So yeah, and on the other hand, it's also very like it could be like a meditation, like a practice of meditation.
Okay.
Again, related to this deep thinking about why is this, why, how is that, how, how it's related to other things, seeing this like bigger picture.
In fact, I would like to ask you, but I already have maybe a short answer in my mind, but maybe you can talk about it really better. How do you find it useful?
I mean, I find it useful, especially from the the point of view when you through the systems thinking. If we if we can do this is one of the tools, the classical ones when we want to do the systems thinking, like facilitate our thinking. It's called systems mapping.
Okay.
It's something that we can do by on our own, but it's so much better, and in my opinion, it should be done like in a group of people.
Okay.
So it does, and I don't imagine systems thinking like processes being done by one individual.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so important that we collaborate with people, mm-hmm. and especially with different kind of people. Mm-hmm. And it's useful because it teaches us the collaboration on in this aspect. It does teaches us also patience,
of course,
because we have this, our mind is wired, then when we have a problem or we have a challenge, we go straight to, okay, we have a solution like this, in an instance. But no, it's not like that. It doesn't work like that.
Unfortunately, in a way, but not unfortunately. If you get that everything is a system and it works in a specific way, related to other things, connected with the other things, you can grow also the patience
exactly
to this kind of process.
Yeah, and especially when I'm talking about the system, I'm talking about and this whole process, mm-hmm. When we are talking about complex systems. Actually, for a simple system with some challenge, if the light doesn't work or something simple, you actually know what to do. We are always talking in this aspect about the complex system and about complex problems, challenges that we face as a society nowadays.
Okay.
Did I answer your question, or did I
think so. No, you answered me, no problem. And I have more questions, so no worries. Okay. We will have time to explore. The next one, in fact, is maybe you already told us something about it, but how do you teach people around the topic of systems thinking?
So, as I mentioned before, there are a lot of ways, but I think that the most important thing when we start the systems thinking approach, systems thinking process, let's say, it's to frame a question. It's to frame a very good question, to frame the challenge, the problem we have as a question. Because I believe that only if we have a really good question, we can get good answers.
Yes.
So if we don't have that, then and as I think that it was Albert Einstein that said that he would spend, that if he had I'm not sure how it was, but I think that it was something, if I had 1 hour to spend on solving a problem, I would spend 50 minutes on framing the question.
Okay, yes. It's so important. It's true. It focuses on the thing, on the problem. Let's say it's a big start, the right question.
And also, from the permaculture point of view, permaculture has this how it's in English, but anyway, it comes from the permaculture. It's that problem already has the solution in itself. That problem is already a solution. Also, in this way of thinking, having a framed problem as a question, it does, like, thinking more, like, I'm going to the philosophical way of thinking. It's having this question. The question does have an answer. So yeah, I'm talking too much time about this questioning, but yeah, deep questions, for example, deep questions. So starting with also like with questions. I will give an example from Daniel Christerwald. It's one of my past year, one of my favorite authors about regeneration. For example, in his book Designing Regenerative Cultures, he has this like set of deep questions, and there is a question, for example, which I like to start the session. It's like, let's try to think, why are we still in a war with ourselves and with nature? And this is like very like deep question, and you can talk about it, like, you know. And then going like more to the problem and the challenge we want to solve at that session. Of course, then are like, how do I teach about systems thinking? Is this presenting what systems thinking is, how systems thinker think, and then actually use the tools we have for systems thinking. There are plenty of tools.
Okay.
Because I'm working like in education with primary and secondary school teachers, we have like different sets of tools that are adapted to this work in school. So yeah, that's it.
Great, thank you. I just want to ask you if you want to add something to this topic, if something you would like to share, or something you would like to say, something you would like to.
Actually, yes.
Great.
Going back, because just doing the circle,
yeah.
I started with the farming. So at the training, we had also this Arduino part.
Of course.
And yeah, because I want to talk again about the citizen science, yes. how important it is, and also what I've learned at the training. You know, I was like super excited because of this Arduino, and also talking with guys from Belgium.
Yes, from Arduino.
Arduino.
Yeah. Gaspar and Elliot.
Yeah, I was so excited when I heard I could actually do the irrigation system with Arduino, yes. Which normally would cost like a fortune, but with Arduino it's like super cheap.
It's super cheap.
Having this technology, yeah. And
to give water to the plants, you're saying, right?
Exactly.
Because you program
irrigation,
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
On your field, and it could be actually done as like on the small scale in your, I don't know, in house for irrigating plants,
yes.
But also on the big scale, like for yes. the field.
It was really, really interesting in a lot of fields. The Arduino thing.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to like conclude with this one. How I was like how inspired I was this training, and I find so also things that I want to implement in the future in the field.
Great. I'm so happy to be here with you, Maja. So thank you again for coming here. It's always a pleasure, and we will see you really soon. Whenever we will say. Okay. Thank you, Maja. Thank you.